Hey guys, Rob here. Welcome back to Rob Garage. Today we're going to tackle some Fenders. And before we get started, I noticed a lot of my viewers are returning viewers, but they're not subscribed. So if you could please hit that subscribe button, it really helps the channel get to more people and hopefully inspire some other people to start doing some of this work themselves too. And yeah, so like, comment, subscribe. The algorithm likes it, so that would I'd really appreciate that. Anyways, we're gonna start with wire wheeling this down. We're gonna clean up all these edges. This fender is pretty far gone, to be honest, but if I can get a couple more years out of it, that's fine, and some practice with this stuff too. So I'm gonna start with wire wheeling this all down to figure out. I'm gonna end up having to cut this bottom piece off. If I can get this lip peeled back enough to sandblast behind it, then I will do that. But that's kind of depends on how much it's going to affect this art, because I may end up just bending it all over the place trying to get it back open. Yeah, we'll get that cleaned up, get some pieces mocked up before we cut it, and yeah, then we'll go from there. The fender's ground down now, so we can see we've exposed beyond the rust everywhere around. I'm going to be remaking this piece down here and this section here, so I get a better shot for you. I'm going to mark a line just above the rust here, and this is likely going to be more than one piece. I don't have all the tools to make these bends clean. Best thing is I have a scrap piece from, this is a rocker panel for a Civic that I was doing, so I've just been using these pieces to make bends because it's already there. So I'll likely use one of these bends for this, and I'll just have to try and make this one as clean as possible, but at least if I can get one of them out of this, that would be optimal. So that's basically the plan. I'll give you a better shot of what we're about to do here. And I've got the lip that I had rolled. I pulled it back. Hopefully I can get it fairly flush afterwards because it's kind of a mess, but I want to sandblast all in behind here. And you know, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to last forever. If I can get a couple years out of it, I'll be happy. And realistically, I should just be getting a new fender for what it's worth, but yeah, it's practice, so let's get into it. Now before I cut this out, I'm going to start to make these pieces so that I have a template and I can get the exact bends and measurements that I want before I start cutting this all apart. So we're going to get a scrap piece of metal here and start mocking this up. If you notice here, this is a pretty hard edge. The piece that I'm working with has this rounded edge. So I'll show you here. Ideally, you'd have a bigger straight edge, a bigger vise, a steel desk or something. But this is what I have to work with. The problem with doing it this way is the piece can start to warp from shrinking the metal as you bend it. But I've just got it down, slightly tightened. You see the difference? So sometimes you just got to work with what you got. So you can already see that it wants to twist here. This is why I didn't want to make a piece right from scratch, because this is the only way that I can bend it, and when I do it right from scratch, it usually ends up real warped, and it just takes so much extra time to really get it right. And there we go. So here's what we're working with here. It's got to open up a little bit. It is still, it's got a tiny bit of a bow this way. Ever so slightly, but it's really close actually. So I do have to open, it's a little bit too hard in. I gotta open this back up a little bit just to get this this angle right, and then I take this piece and I'm gonna try and smooth. It's a bit sharp. I don't know if you can see that there. It's a bit sharp. If I can smooth this bend out a little bit, that'll work perfect for me right here. So then what we'll have this piece here. This piece will finish that bend, and then I've got one little tab to make down here, and I'll have to make the folds on the end of the pieces. You can see here to complete this, as well as the fender clip hole there, which isn't really important because I don't have inner wheel wells, so whether I put that back or not doesn't really matter. But yeah, so let's finish making these pieces up and I'll show you what I got. Okay, so I'm gonna actually start over the piece that I was making. I didn't like it. It wasn't fitting properly, so I'm gonna try and do this a little bit differently this time, and hopefully it turns out a little better. Unfortunately, sometimes it's just the way that it is. Gotta love that. So originally I made the side bends first, and then I tried to cup it to fit the contour of this. So I'm gonna make that bend first, ever so slightly, and then I'll try and make the edges. So that's the plan anyways. So I'm trying to keep this as level as possible. Yes, my vise is ripped all the studs out. Ever so slightly. Okay, so I accidentally wasn't filming, but here's this piece for the bottom here. As you can see, just like that. Okay, you know those times where you're just too lazy, you know that there's a better tool to use 10 feet away and you don't just go and get it? So we're looking at 5 mil. We want to make sure that this piece now, so you know what, we might even tack this on first. Let's go take a look. Something like that there. Okay, so we're back. This is the third piece that I've made, and unfortunately when you're learning this stuff and you got nobody to work on it with or teach any of it, it's a whole lot of trial and error, and it's usually pretty annoying. But I got my piece now. I couldn't get a smooth bend here while having this piece bent back, so I'm gonna weld the side pieces on afterwards. So I got it where I want it on this side. The fender's got to pull in down here, but I'll worry about that after. I'm gonna give it a tack here and a tack here. It is slightly recessed behind this edge, and I actually don't mind that for bodywork purposes. So I'm gonna leave it where it is, give it a tack, and then I'll fit the rest of it. And hope that I don't get splatter or burn anything that I just finished. That's basically the shape that we want right there. That looks really good. Unfortunately, I ground it just a little bit too small. That's okay. know I'm not the best welder, as you can see, but nevertheless, that is a pretty good fitment. I'm really happy with that. Let me show you here. That is beautiful. So now I'm gonna fill the side pieces in, and I'll probably do a few more tacks, make sure this piece isn't gonna move on me, and yeah, that looks really good. Now I got the side piece welded on here. I'm gonna probably continue to weld it a little more. It looks really good. I still got to get this inside piece, but obviously I'm gonna have to wait until I can take the fender off. Everything's lining up really nice, so okay, so I got this piece tacked pretty good. I got a little hot maybe. I always have a problem with warping, and not exactly sure how to really control it to the point that it's not at all an issue, or if you even can. But here's what I got so far. Everything looks really good. It's all fitting really nice. The only thing is this corner down here popped out from the door a little bit. I don't know if you can, how well you can see that, but I'm gonna have to, like, I don't have to go, that's all it has to move. It's just this little bit right there. Yeah, I'm gonna have to take the fender off because I can't push it far enough to get it bent, so I'm gonna have to twist this a little bit. Yeah, other than that though, it's turned out amazing, and this is the way that I wanted to do it in the beginning, was cutting these pieces separate instead of trying to bend it and then work a curve into it. Yeah, I'm gonna take this off. I gotta finish the piece on the inside here, but I want to get this lined up with the door perfectly before I tack this piece in. So I think I'm gonna have to take the fender off a couple times, put it back on, get it lined up, and then I'll fit this piece in here. I'll show you what I do. Okay, so looking at the fender now, I just need to fill this little piece in, right? So I think first I'm gonna get a little bit of an arch in here. Careful with these flap discs, they do some damage. Okay, that's getting pretty close. Now with my trusty tin snips, it's already pretty close right on that side there. Okay. I'll mark this. Okay, we're getting pretty close here. And then what I'll do is I'll tack it into place, and then I'll trim this edge off after. Just want to get it, clean this part up just a little bit. It's not bad right there. Pretty happy with that. It's not perfect, but remember, once you weld it, grind it down, you'll never know. Whew, she's hot. And I'd say that's pretty good. A lot of holes, but okay. Nature of the beast. Pretty well. Clean that, get it nice and straight afterwards, but for now, before I finish tacking this in, I'll double check, make sure that everything still lines up on the car properly, and as long as that's good, then yeah, I'm gonna finish welding this whole thing and clean it all up. Okay, so this is what we got here. This actually is 5 different pieces. I have 1 piece, 2 piece, 3 pieces, and then the 2 outside pieces. Originally, this was the piece I had. This was actually the 2nd piece that I made, and this is the 3rd. So what I was doing was trying to put the bends for the side in first, but then I had no way to get this clean arc. and yeah, it just wasn't going to work. So this was actually the original way that I was going to do it, but I thought that I was going to blow way too many holes, that it was not going to be worth it. And obviously I've gotten a little better at welding, so it wasn't an issue. Yeah, figuring out the welding settings and all that, you know, a lot of trial and error for me anyways. I haven't spent too much time researching, just pick up the welder and go. So yeah, it's probably taken me a little longer than it should have to pick it up, but it's obviously starting to get pretty good. So yeah, I'm gonna finish this up and we'll move on to the next. Okay, we got the whole fender welded here. Well, this part of the fender anyways. Just gonna go around, grind all these welds down, clean it up, put it back on the car, make sure nothing moved, and get on to the rest of the fender. And there we have it. There's your fender repair. A little bit of a high spot. This line's not perfectly straight. I'll be able to blend it a little bit with some body work. For some reason, I thought that if this piece was offset behind just a little bit and I had that lip to weld on, that it would do something for me. I don't know what, and obviously that was a bad idea. Pretty happy with everything though. Other than that, it all cleaned up really nice. Like, the shape of this piece is pretty complicated. I mean, it took me 3 times to get this right, which is just the nature of the beast. So next is I'm gonna do some sandblasting. I'm gonna blast all of this and see what I'm left with. I know this lip is probably gonna have some pitted holes. I had rolled it. I don't know if this was the best idea, but I unrolled it. Now that lip's pretty nasty, but hopefully I can get it back smooth again. I won't focus here. And then the other spot is right there. So once I blast it, I'll see if it's got any holes pitted in it and it starts feeling weak after the blast, then I'll just go ahead and do it. So that's it. That's turned out pretty good. I'm happy with it. That's my first fender repair in, I mean, I've only ever done one other one, and it was years ago with no experience whatsoever. It was the first thing I had done. I just dove right in and did it. It turned out good, but it took a lot of body work to hide it. So sorry about these lights. So yeah, I'm gonna end this right here and do a part 1, part 2, because the video is getting kind of long already, and most of this you don't really need to watch. Like it's just cleaning it up. There's not really much work left on it. So I'll see if I even make a video and I end up just showing you the completed product after. And the other fender that we're gonna have to do, and it's nowhere near as bad. There's still paint on that, and it's rusted on the other one. It's mostly this lip from the tire dragging and from rolling the fender. And then I had an incident where my elastic broke for the bumper, and the bumper went underneath and wrapped halfway around my wheel and bent this fender. So I'm gonna have to straighten it back out. It's bent in at the back and in at the front, and I believe it's twisted up here somewhere. So yeah, it's gonna take a little bit of work to get the lines right, but that's not a big deal. I don't think anything needs cut out of it, which is great. And yeah, pretty soon this beast is gonna be looking super clean. This has all been redone, the door, the corner here. I rebuilt that whole inside corner right there. And, yeah, she's coming together. Can't wait to drive it. That's why I'm not doing all the work right now. I wanted to get as much of the rust cleaned up as I could. So there's still some stuff to do underneath the car. Not really worried about it. It's not that far gone. So come next year, I'll be doing all of that, which takes stripping the interior, which means possibly repainting the whole car. Just because. And because once it's stripped down, you know, you might as well strip it down a little bit more and paint it, because why not, right? So thanks for watching, guys, and remember to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.